What is going on, guys? It is I, Coach Dominic, with my beautiful co host, Coach Keyonni Adams. Happy New Year, happy 2026. Today, we have a special guest. We have my brother from another, slightly famous if you go back to some days and look him up. But we have Mr. Ren Jones. Ren Jones is a fitness coach and educator who specializes in helping women including women of color, build strength, confidence, and sustainable health through realistic training and realistic processes. Ren Jones, welcome to another episode of the No BS Fitness Prescription Podcast with the Unhinged Approach. How are you doing today?
Hey, Coach Dom, Coach Keyonni, I appreciate both of you guys for letting me on the program today, man. And I hope I hope I helped enlighten a few people, piss a few people off. Man, let's roll. I'm ready.
All right, so we're going to dive in, right? And we're going to go with starting off. You work with a lot of women, right? Including primarily women of color, right? In the industry where many feel unseen, misunderstood, and misrespected, if we want to say. How do you build trust with these women who may have been dismissed, shamed, or stereotyped in the past fitness or their healthcare experiences?
Oh man, I didn't know you was gonna come out with the AK for
I mean,
question number one.
we
You
might as
came out with
well.
the burner.
Hey, we're getting
Okay,
real
let's
close to Black History Month, so
okay.
we
This
might as
this the
well.
kind of show we're doing. Yeah, if we're gonna
Yeah.
do this, okay. So first thing, I need to be transparent and direct and honest. I do not primarily work with women of color. That if I gave it an impression, that's a misnomer.
Okay.
And I'm gonna bring some clarity to that as I say that, because obviously I don't shy away from that. And because of who I am, for the listeners out there, you can't see me. Maybe you can figure out by how I articulate my vowels and consonants. I'm a black man, so of course I attract women across the diaspora, as we say. But it's not primary for me. I don't build myself that way, but I don't have any problem with it. But to answer the question, Coach Don, sort of how am I able to relate and build trust? I'll tell you, I often tell people that I was raised on planet Krypton. I'm a nerd, comic book nerd. I'm rocking with my Spider-Man mug right now. Coach Keyonni is rocking with the Grinch. I'm all for that. But in any case, I was raised in an environment where I was the little boy in the house with a grandmother who was very opinionated, a mother who was a medical professional. My mother was an RN for 30 years before she got sick, and a big sister who was 13 years older than me, who had the worst menstrual cycles that I've ever experienced around a woman to this date. So my father had gone on to remarry. Have a great relationship with dad. We're not about to run down that lane. There's no issues with me and my father. But my older brother was 18 years older. When I was born, he was headed to University of Maryland Eastern Shore, UMES. He's a basketball player. So I was a little boy in a house with three generations of women hearing all the stories, all the things. One woman was premenopausal, worst menstrual cycles I've ever experienced. And that was the 80s. I learned how to go get the hot water bottle because you didn't have a hot blanket. You didn't have the plug-in blanket back then. You had the hot water bottle. One woman was in perimenopause. My mother had me at 38. So by the time I was 10, she was 48, going through menopause. I used to go outside in the summer to warm up because the house was so damn cold, bro. And one woman was postmenopausal, my grandmother in her 60s from Lancaster, South Carolina. And she could tell me all about the things that happened in the 1920s in the South and 30s and that whole situation that women, specifically black women, went through at that time. And man, I was just, SpongeBob SquarePants, man. I was just sponging up all the things. So I learned the things not to say. I learned the ways to listen and empathize and keep your opinion to yourself. And those skills, because I was raised on planet Krypton. Well, brother, when they brought me to Earth, I could fly and shoot laser beams out of my eyes. I was well prepared for the things I was going to be dealing with. So that skill set was sort of um, the universe placed me in the right space to develop the skill set that allows me to interact with women somewhat naturally in a way that elicits trust and mutual understanding. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it, Coach.
Man, I love it, and I can highly relate because I was raised by a single mom at a point, right? And then my grandmother lived right upstairs, so it was always that back and forth. I had an uncle that was around, but it was primarily I was nurtured by that female aspect, So that's definitely great to know. Keyonni, do you have anything offhand that you want to bring up before I drop another one?
I was just gonna ask, how did you get into fitness from like a young age? Was it something that you saw your the woman in your family doing? Like, what was the
Mm-hmm.
exposure to that?
Nerddom. I'm a nerd. You clocked the Spider-Man mug already, Coach. You know what it is. So I got really good at illustrating. I wanted to be in my teenage years. I wanted to be an illustrator for Marvel Comics. And when you're learning how to create those physiques for superheroes, I was like, "Oh, Spider-Man got these round things at the end of his shoulders, his delts, right? And he's got this line in the center of his chest, his pecs, and what's those little wavy things near his ribs? Uh, the that physique became attractive to me, and as a kid, and I want to be Spider-Man. So I'm also a music nerd. So in high school, I was in the band, and my friends were football players. For international listeners, we're talking about American football, not soccer. So after practice, we would walk home together. Our high school was in the neighborhood where we all lived. And I said, where do you guys go after practice, man? I couldn't find you. We go to the weight room. I was like, what's the weight room? Oh, that's where you go and you lift weights, you get muscles. I was like, Spider-Man. And they were like, nerd. And I was like, whatever. So my homeboys at like 14 started teaching me all the wrong stuff to do in the gym, as 14-year-old boys would do back in like 89, 90. We didn't know anything. The industry didn't know anything back then. So I got I got started with them. I was like, the stuff y'all saying sound wrong to me, bro. So I started getting like Muscle and Fitness magazine, Men's Health, Men's Fitness, Women's magazines, Oxygen. I got all these subscriptions coming to the house, and I'm just, I'm going back and forth between Marvel comic books and Muscle and Fitness. I'm just soaking it up, and I'm like, a lot of stuff y'all doing here is wrong. And before I know it, I'm co-educating our high school football players about what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong. I got into working with women because unfortunately, my mother had a massive stroke. She was disabled from age 60 to 77 when she died. While my older brother was taking care of her, he died of a heart attack. She went and stayed with my older sister. While my older sister was taking care of her, my sister died. She drank and got in a car, hit a tree, died instantly. And the last child was in charge then of my mother's care. I lived a long way from her at that moment, but I thought exercise and wellness, some of the things that I know as an insurance agent at that point, some of the things I know from working out from 14 to like age 35. I'm 51 now, I'll be 52 in April. Shout out to the Aries. I know you're out there. But some of the stuff I know could have helped my family. And, Coach Keyonni, you probably got a story like this. I know a lot of us, we became the thing that would have helped us at some point in our lives, right? If we needed a transformation, we became a transformation coach. If we did that at some point in our lives, if we were addicted to something, so in my case, I lost my mom, I lost my older brother, I lost my older sister all before I turned 40. I lost my baby sister in 2020. She was 38, but my brother died at 50. My sister died at 50. My mom died at 77 after being confined in her body for 17 years. And I was like, these women need better care, right? I didn't need my mom to have a snatched waist. I needed her to be alive when I turned 40,
Come
right?
on, dude.
So I became that. That's what I became. And that's why I do it the way that I do it and who I do it for. Is a great question.
We have trying not to get emotional now. I'm not even gonna lie. Like we have very, very similar stories. A lot of people, and this is your episode, but a lot of people don't even know half of my story. I mean, mine is I've lost all my aunts to things that could have been prevented, uncles,
Facts.
right? And then most recently, my mother, and my mom was my first client. She was the first person that fired me. And
Mhm,
I
mhm,
never wanted her to have, like you said, the snatched waist or nothing, but it was like, how do I get my mom healthy? Because when I
facts.
was younger, she was super active. And then there was some shift in adulthood where that changed. And there were glimpses of light. And then it was just
Hmm.
like, damn, this is where we are, and it got to the point, where my twin sister became the main caretaker, but everybody
Hmm.
was like, Dom is the fitness expert, he can save it. But at the end of the
Hmm.
day, you can only save yourself.
That's
So
right. That's
I
right.
I totally can relate because our stories are very, very similar. So I appreciate you even being vulnerable enough to tell that story.
Oh man,
So thank you definitely for that.
it's got to be told, Coach, because we've all been around this industry long enough. You and Coach Keyonni and I have been around this industry long enough to know how plastic it is, right? And I'm going to say something controversial. This might piss some people off, but what I found is that across that African diaspora, all of us with that motherland gene, um, I have seen us be most susceptible to, I'm saying a bad word, earmuffs for the children out there. We have been most susceptible to the bullshit, and
100%.
that angers me because I find myself now. I retired from the convincing business in 2017. So whatever you choose to do for yourself, I'm on board. Let me support you. I'm not going to convince you that the 36 books on my bookshelf have educated me in any way, nor have the 12 years I've been doing this. You want to do what you want to do, I'm all for it. But I've had the most back and forth with my people about their choices for their betterment in terms of health. Um, and I've had to come to terms with that fact that it's not for me to convince people to save their own lives. That's a hard part of doing what we do. But like you said, moving away from the pure aesthetics. And man, I believe you can look good and feel good and be healthy. I'm all for it. I just don't like pushing people to the aesthetics first, because it doesn't help people, right? It doesn't. It's not going to help your auntie be at your graduation. It's not going to prevent your mom from missing your wedding. It's not going to make sure that when your brother hits the starting five in his high school team, you'll be around to see him. And you and I know, and I'm sure that Coach Keyonni knows too. I know you have your own set of experiences, but we all know that you look for those people who are absent from your life um, when you're doing important things in your life. And one of my main objectives is to be around for. I don't have any children. I've only got nieces and nephews from my sister who passed away, my younger sister. But one of my callings is to be present for my nieces and nephews. They lost their mom, right? And when you have my good friend Cassandra DeLynn, natural fit mom, look her up. She always says when you have a calling on your life, you protect it with your health. That's
Mm,
where I coach from, because I love that phrase. And I'm gonna be quiet, but in a minute I'm gonna be talking again.
man, that's you said a lot. You said a lot because boy, that's why this podcast is the way it is. But one of the and I'm gonna go there now because you said something that's very profound. I'm sure Kiani has dealt with it, and I deal with it daily. And I'm trying to word this the best way.
Let it out, bro.
Fuck that. Say it.
When it
Give
comes
it to him raw.
when it comes to us coaching as black people, I don't get a lot of that pushback from the others. They believe in me more than I believe in myself.
Come on. Bring it in. Keep going.
But it's always our own people that'll be like, nah, I don't really know if you know what you're doing. Buddy over here didn't even question. He just said, what do I got to do to get to where I got to go? Because you were referred.
Facts.
I don't have yes, I got questions, but I know I can't get to where I'm trying to go without you. But on the other side, it's always, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that first. I'm going to get in shape first. Dr. Sebi said this. Yada Awakening or whatever the fuck said this. Or I'm doing this program that I found from this person over here that I got for $19. You're about to get $19 worth of fucking results.
Facts. Facts.
And because it's 2026, thank God, I'm just like, I can't do the bullshit no more. We hurt ourselves when it comes to health and wellness more than anybody else. Because many people are living that dream. Because it's about to be time to be getting ready for summer. And it's going to be the same people trying to lose the same 15 pounds because they wouldn't take a real approach and really make those changes. Then their doctor tells them, oh, you got high blood. You knew you had that shit before the doctor told you. Because you already don't go to the gym. Right? Or not saying you got to go to the gym because some people don't like the gym. But you knew when you looked down, you couldn't see your big toes. To the fellas, they knew they didn't jump when they wake up. Like we laugh at it, but it's serious.
Serious.
I talk to so many older black women and white women, and they say why they date younger men. What's the first reason? We can say it respectfully, but what do they say? Oh, I need that in the bed. Well, why you can't get it from somebody that's your same age? Oh, he does not take care of his health.
Can I throw a stat out there, Coach Dom?
Go ahead.
I want to throw a stat because for men, and I want the listener to realize that anytime you hear statistical data about health, it's worse for descendants of the diaspora in the United States. Right? So if 40% of people do something, typically that means 50% of African Americans do have that thing, right? So just stay with me. But generally speaking, 40% of men over 40 have erectile dysfunction. 50% of men over 50 have erectile dysfunction. 60% of men over 60 have erectile dysfunction, and it can be traced back to cardiovascular illness. Now, and one more stat, and then I'll hand the mic right back. I'll pass the mic, like DJ Cassidy. One more stat: 1 in 3 women are going to incur a cardiovascular issue. It's the number one killer of women around the world, health-wise, cardiovascular disease. My mother suffered from it, which is why she had a stroke. It's not necessary for you to go through that. And again, whatever numbers I give you, just stretch those numbers out for African Americans. That's an unnecessary statistic for a group of humans who are, it's going to get weird, who are genetically predisposed to excellence.
Come on.
You know how much you have to do to these bodies genetically to trash them? A lot. You're talking about a group of humans that survived several centuries of ungodly physical, mental, and emotional stress. To only come out of that and catch up 1 or 2 generations outside of Reconstruction to what you might call Middle America. I don't speak specifically about this a lot. It just depends on the person in front of me. But since Coach Dom opened that door, I want you to know that you have the right to good health,
Come
right?
on,
And a
bro.
lot of the habits that we utilize in our community are survival habits. I understand that. I understand why you eat pickled pig's feet, because the pig's foot is all you were thrown to sustain yourself for an 18-hour workday. I get that.
Talk to him.
I'm a PK, and the word says, as I became a man, I put away childish things. As we evolve, we can put some of those things to the side. I know it's tradition and I know it's enjoyable, and I like it just as much as the next person. But there's also a betterment that comes through knowledge and understanding that allows you to choose different. And I don't try to control the choice. As a coach, I want you to know that the choices are available. Right? It's not my job to choose for you. It's my job to present the choice. Again, I'm a PK, so that's what's wrong with me. It's gonna get worse as the show goes on. But I know that that word says, "I set before thee the choice, choose life." That's all I'm trying to do as a coach. I ain't nobody's Jesus, but you know, you can do this instead of that. What would you like to do? Early grave. All right, let me help you with that. Right? Like I retired from convention business, but the points that you made, Coach Dom, are points that we need to be able to articulate without people feeling attacked. So I'm not trying to attack you. I'm just trying to present that you have other choices. But that's real, man. And I'm sorry that you lost your mother. Sidebar real quick, and then I'm gonna hand the mic back. But as a man of color in this society, oftentimes when we lose our mother, we lost our only safe space for vulnerability. I can't cry in front of my girl, and I'm not trying to institute a choice for people out there. I know that you can.
Right.
Generally, you know, we will feel less capable of emoting in front of anyone who is not our mother as men of color. So you really
100%.
lose a safe space. I can go through my mother's door full blown crying, and not feel any type of way about it. I can't do that with my lady. Definitely, I don't have children, but I definitely would not. I would choose to not do that in front of my kids. And therapy is a whole nother conversation for another podcast. I am in it, thankfully, but
Likewise.
I'm sorry that you had to suffer that loss, man. Because I tell people all the time, you ain't grown till your mama gone, right? You
Right.
had 16, umpteen million, 2011 kids till your mama gone. You ain't grown. Till
And
you can't pick up that phone and say, "Mom, I need to talk to you about something." You're not a grown
yeah.
up.
And we're gonna keep the podcast like fitness, but I used to wonder what that was like, what you just said. And like now, like I totally agree. Like it'll be a year, February 11th. And it's like every day is the same, but it's like you still have that purpose. Like my purpose to impact and help more people has never been greater than it has been this past year. Not to say that it took that impactful thing that happened, but the only thing I can say is like I get it now. You know,
It's different.
it's different. It's different. Keyonni, what you got?
No, I was just going to go to the the convincing topic. Like when, as a coach, when you first started, how did like your coaching relationships look when you felt like you were convincing somebody as to now when they come like already convinced and they're ready to they do their own convincing, but they're ready to do the work. Like what has been the shift?
Coach Gianni, that's just the best question ever because, and I'm gonna go back to code switching now. That's the best question ever because we're gonna code switch on this podcast. That's the best question ever because as a dude, and I was 40 when I became a coach. Like I turned 40 and became a coach. And I had a lot of years of information. So I did it all wrong, right? I argue with people. I try to convince people. I told them they were wrong. I try to present facts. So I was a bad coach, enthusiastic, knowledgeable, doing it for all the right reasons, but I wanted to be right. more than I wanted to help them. So I had to start to read, man, and specifically as a male working with women, and my concentration is sort of like 35 and up. So I'm working a lot through perimenopausal, menopause, postmenopause years. As a man, I had to learn, not as a man, but because I was a man, as a coach, I had to learn how to listen a lot more. And I had to adopt curiosity over judgment. And I'll give y'all a real quick example because we all three of us know about this one. I don't want to lift weights because I don't want to get bulky, right? So the tendency working with women as a coach, a male coach, when a woman says, I really don't want to do any lifting weights because I don't want to get bulky, the tendency was for me to say, "Oh, well, you can't get bulky because blah blah blah, testosterone, estrogen. You don't have to. You're not eating enough to get bulky, and you got to. And you see women that are bulky, and they taking something else, and you. That was my tendency, right? So what I had to learn how to do is say, okay, tell me more about that. What do you mean when you say bulky? What does that look like for you?
Yeah.
Explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old. No, explain it to me like I'm a man. Easy enough for a man to understand. And let them tell me, well, I feel like my shirts will get too tight and I'll get too much. Okay. Has that happened to you before? Or is this something that you've just sort of heard about happening to women? Well, no, it's never happened to me before, but my girlfriend says she blah blah. Okay, that makes sense. So if I'm understanding correctly, and now I'm going to summarize. Right, see that's coaching. So if I'm understanding correctly, you're concerned. Okay, I let's look at it this way. If I were to promise that we track your circumference measurements, arm measurement, waist measurement, thigh measurement, to make sure that you're not growing out of your clothes, with the promise that I'm not going to let you get bulky no matter what I do in the program, would you be willing to follow through with me for 12 weeks? Like, now that's coaching. And I wasn't capable of that when I first got into it. So I had a hard time. I felt like I was always convincing people, Coach Keyonni, because I wasn't listening to what the women were saying. I was asking what happened instead of asking, how do you feel about what happened? Right?
Mm.
I just wanted the facts. I didn't want and women are not, let me tell you something before I go down this road. The males I've coached have been much more emotionally dysregulated than any women that I've coached, which is why I concentrate on women because they are very good in my experience at emotional regulation. So the mansplainers out there that women's too emotional. No, you're a shitty coach, bro. Like they're not too emotional. They're listening, they're contemplating, they're sharing information. You're just a shitty coach. Right? That's why you can't work with women. Let's get that off the table really quick. But when I started understanding what's your emotion as it relates to this thing that you're concerned about, man, that's when I got it, Coach Keyonni. Like that. That's when the trust started happening. That's when I stopped having to convince. I just wasn't listening, fam. I just in my way or the highway. So that's my answer to that. That's my story. I'm sticking to it, Coach.
Okay,
I agree.
So with that, right?
Facts, right?
Definitely. So there's still belief at this day and age, right? Especially in this space, that men can't effectively coach women. So we're gonna reframe based off of everything you said, especially when it comes to hormones, body image, and confidence. What do you believe men must understand before they earn the right to coach women better than we could say they currently are?
The first thing is I'm gonna put a caboose on the train that I just sent down the track. Right? You got to listen. I've learned two great phrases from women in the industry. One is from a colleague. Her name is Carolina Belmares. Born in Mexico, lives in Canada, and she was a co-host on a podcast that I co-hosted on called The Online Trainer Show with Jonathan Goodman, who's sort of
Yep.
one of the online training gurus. And she taught me the phrase, nothing about us without us. And I was like, ooh, that's some gravy, baby. Like she said, people will build. She related it as a Mexican expat who lives in Canada, a woman from the South, from Mexico, who immigrated to the North, and how people would have all these. I don't really like the word Hispanic, but all these initiatives for the Hispanic population, but they wouldn't have any Latinos or Latinas involved in the thing. You know, one famous thing is Kmart had a circular back in the day, and it was for Mother's Day, and they used the word mama, and they were trying to integrate that the word mama with the with yoga products they were selling, and they had on the headline "Mamaste." Now, "Mamaste" in Espanol is masturbate. But because they didn't have any Latinos or Latinas on their team, they didn't know they wrote masturbate all over the front of it. They thought, oh, this will combine mama and namaste from yoga and that, but nothing about us without us. The other phrase that I learned was from Molly Galbraith, who I've been fortunate to become friends with, and she is the head woman who created Girls Gone Strong. I have certifications through them, and their phrase is cultural humility. Now, Molly is an ally, tall, blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman who will rock with the fam. I mean, she has a huge platform, and she will just flat out rock with the diaspora, like unapologetically. Lose 10,000 followers, lose a million, she don't care. But she said cultural humility is your ability to understand that you don't fully understand another culture. For me, that culture is women. For her, she was talking about Black culture. She won't, she'll never assume that she knows better about a culture than what they say about the culture they belong to. So that's me with women. Men, you can never assume that you know better about what a woman's dealing with than the woman actually dealing with it. Now, I've got 12 years of education specifically in women and hormones and perimenopause and menopause and menstrual cycles, and I can quote things up and down that don't fit into my scope of practice because I'm not a doctor, but I use the information to help you determine your reps and your sets and your rest periods and how much protein. That's how I use that information. I don't go around telling people you need to be on hormone replacement therapy. Like, that's not what I do. That's not what I'm supposed to do. But I understand that I have to be very tuned in to a culture that I cannot share experiences with. And male coaches, that's your starting point. Nothing about us without us. Don't plan for them. Ask them what they need to collaborate and plan for. And cultural humility. You don't know better. No matter what you know, you don't know better because you can't have the experience. If men start there, then I won't have to deal with the bullshit of people saying any male coach that works with women is a red flag. Like, what? What are you even saying? Like, that's because of the dudes who don't listen and don't allow the culture to inform them. Then I got to deal with that. Oh, you only work with women? Oh, that's a red flag, bro. I would never let my girl. I would never work with you because you only work with women. Like, that's so stupid. But that's the root source of it. And I'm gonna back away again, like Ronnie DeVoe in New Edition, baby. Hands up. I might do a turn.
So with that, right, we're gonna bring it back. How do you help clients? And this goes with what you just said. How do you help clients tune out the cultural noise and define success on their own terms, noting that, you know, women often face conflicting messages: be strong but not too much, you know, like you said, curvy but still lean, confident but not intimidating, right?
Because they all want to be slim thick, right? Slim thick, lose the gut, not the butt. Like, I've heard it all, man. Like, I've heard it all. The first step is informing them that they have choice, man. You'd be surprised how many clients can choose better if they know they have choice, because we, as a population, as a wellness population, we have a tendency to assume that every woman who exercises or changes her nutritional stance does so for one reason, and that's weight loss. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, but there's also confidence, right? For me, one of the greatest situations that I can ever be a part of is seeing a woman, and I'm online only exclusively now, but I started in gyms, obviously. I started in person. But one of my favorite experiences is seeing a woman lift an amount of weight that she did not think she could lift. right? There's there are few better feelings than seeing a woman deadlift something, particularly if she doesn't. Now, most women in the diaspora are they approach things with a certain amount of confidence. There's a certain amount of swagger, right? But I also work with women who are not a part of the diaspora, who are trad wives, right? Handmaid's tale, right? They come from places where they are disempowered and culturally it's allowed. You know, these Claire Huxtables usually don't come through the door like that, right? They talking to me like I'm Alvin from the like I'm Sandra's husband, right, on the Cosby Show. But in any case, seeing a woman lift something that she felt like might be too heavy for her and just body that bar. So one way to help women is pulling up the next set of shades or opening the next set of blinds, right? Because they're looking out of one window, right? We only gave them one window to look out of. Just saying, hey, let's walk to this other window and undo the blinds and see what's out there. Damn, Ren, that's out there? Yeah. You want to go there? Well, hold on. We got one more window. Let's go down another one. Let's go to the powerlifting window. These women are solid. These are not small women. You want to no? Well, no, I don't think that's for me. But my sister Sheila would love that. Let's go down to this window where you're coaching people. I could coach people, sure. I can tell you which certification to get. So people, and this happens across African American culture too. When you open up a new window, we will break the fucking glass jumping through it, right? Oh, I can swim. I can go to the Olympics and swim. Homies, I'm gonna get gold, you get bronze, and you get silver this year, right? 2028, we go. Oh, we can do distance. Holla at the Kenyan homies, because I didn't really see people doing marathons that was brothers in the hood, but the Kenyans, I know they get down like so. What we do with humans as coaches is we give them a new lens to look through, and we increase the amount of choices that they have, and then people can sort of kind of connect themselves to something that's available that they didn't know. That's how I do it, man. Working with women, let's do some bar work today. It's going to be a little heavy. We're going to do something simple. We're going to use the bench. We're going to use some straps. We're going to do an entry level version of this thing and see how you like it. No, Ren, I don't really rock with that. Oh man, I love kettlebells, Ren. Who knew? I thought I didn't like working out. I just don't like using barbells and dumbbells. Like so, as coaches, we gotta lay out the buffet, right? We got to lay out the sizzler, right? The red lobster buffet, the seafood buffet, and let people taste things that they haven't been offered. You know, you don't like protein, but you only had steak, right? Have you tried fish? No, they got fish. Yeah, try some of this. You might like. Oh, I love fish way better. I'm having an easier time getting my protein now, but I'm gonna land this plane. I swear, y'all. I've been talking for a minute. Um, we have a tendency to uh, concentrate on the or, and I like to concentrate on the and, right? Or gets Facebook views and Instagram views and likes. We're gonna do zone two, or we're gonna do high intensity interval training. And now we can get on the internet and we can argue back and forth, and I can make some hit shirts, and you can make some zone two shirts, and we can both build a tribe of a cult of hit. You can build a cult of zone two, and we can make money or sells things and helps people. Should I do hit or should I do zone two? Well, on
Both.
days you're feeling run down, you might want to do a little zone two. Like you feel like you need that cardiovascular expenditure, you want to create some endurance. Let's go slow and steady, and we'll do a run. You want to protect that muscle. You want to become explosive. And let's do some of this plyometrics today. Like and helps people. And I think when it's always presented as or, it confuses potential clients because they don't know they can do more than one thing. So they got to pick a tribe and die in that tribe, right? It's blood in, blood out, bro. Colors, 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 right? So I think that's a gateway to helping these women just let them know there's more possibility. I digress.
Right. Johnny, did you get that last joke? I know you're younger, so I don't even know if you got the whole colors part.
No, I didn't.
I know.
Old
I know.
movie about Bloods and Crips.
Oh,
With the soundtrack by Ice-T.
Yeah.
I am a nightmare walking, psychopath talking.
Yeah.
no,
Good
now I
movie
gotta
though. You
watch.
should check it out. You gotta watch
Definitely.
Yeah,
Colors, bro.
I think you would. I mean, I feel like you have to watch it. You know,
I
It's a
do have
heavy
to.
hitter. It's a heavy hitter, Keyonni. Like word. Like you'll
What's it
rock
called?
with it. You'll rock with it.
It's called Colors.
Colors.
Colors. All
It's
right,
about Black and Latin gangs
I'm gonna watch it after I
and
watch this Dave
Bloods
Chappelle
and
documentary.
Crips.
But no, I love what you said about showing people that have options. I think that's like everything in life, and I think it's a big component in like the Black community is like we don't have exposure to certain things. Like I always think back to like career paths. Like nobody thinks that they can be like things outside of the box just because we haven't been exposed to it because you haven't seen anybody do it. So I think that's a benefit of social media. Like you can see people who look like you doing these cool things, but I also think the downside of social media is what you mentioned with or like just like do lifting or cardio, do zone 2 or hit, but you're only getting a snippet of why those things are even important and people like to identify and belong to something so they gravitate more to like cardio or lifting instead of knowing the reason and the context behind why you should use both. And that's what I hate about social media, and that's why I think it's great that Dom and I have the podcast, so we can bring on people like you who expand upon that context and give people rationales as to why.
Facts.
So I think exposure is good. Exposure is big. When
Definitely.
you work with somebody that wants to, let's say, lose weight, what are some things that you notice like shift in like maybe their goals and their aspirations when they start to train just for losing weight, but then they're like, oh my god, now I have more confidence, now I want to do this, now I want to do that.
This is probably the most important question that we can ask for an audience that has not had the experience, because I don't think they think this way. Typically, when you get a weight loss person, and let me just say, I will advertise that. I will advertise for that specifically because as a coach, I have to speak the language of the person in need first. If I'm if I am if I'm teaching German classes to learn the German language, I can't advertise the classes in German because they don't know German yet. Like, so what I'm gonna do that for, Slim? So I gotta advertise in the language that the clients understand. In my case, most women, I don't want to say most. It's more likely that a woman will approach me for training through the lens of I'd like to transform my physicality in some way, right? I don't judge that, and I don't try to make them do that either. So to circle back to your question, normally what happens is as soon as weight loss intervention starts, two realizations happen. Number one, it's less fun than they thought, the process. It's less fun because there's much less variety than they understand. For the coaches out there, we talk about SAID principle, specific adaptation to impose demands. That just means to get a certain thing, you have to repeat a certain thing. Coaches know that, clients don't. So I've had clients who I do circumference measurements more so than just weight. I do both, but so I got a client measuring her waist, right? And she comes in and it's 32-inch waist. 2 months later, she's at a 27-inch waist. So we got data that shows you losing fat around your midsection, ma. Like we got the numbers that prove it. And she might say, "Can we do something different?" Right? Because they start to realize they don't want the goal as much as they want the entertainment. That happens sometimes. The other thing that happens is a pursuit of strength will take over. Like you said, Coach Keyonni, they start to get that strength and that confidence build. And man, it's like a psychedelic. It's like a drug, man. Like they're like, can we go heavier today? When am I gonna be able to increase my squat? Right. And I love that because I'm all for it. And they will sort of step away from the over concern of that 3-digit number on that devil's box under their feet and start to move to the other numbers. I want to see these numbers going up instead of seeing the weight going down. And I love that. And as a coach, I just want to be prepared for whichever fork in that road they decide to take. And I want to encourage it because nothing's like antithetical to what I want because it doesn't matter what I want. I'm the least important person in this equation. I'm serving at the pleasure of the client, right? So we start out, we get weight loss going, and that's happening because that's what they asked for. And I'm going to check in. How do you feel? Hey, you're down 15 pounds and you lost 1.5 inches on your thigh circumference measurement and on your waist circumference measurement. So your pants should be fitting better now. Oh, they fitting real good. But what I really want to know, Ren, is how can we cut down my time on this mile? Now, I'm not a big runner. My clients have sent me the little bumper sticker thing with 0.0. I don't run because I'm not a runner. It's not about Jesus ain't give me that mission. But they may say, how can I cut down my time on this mile? And I may not be an expert there, but I'll go to the research and I'll find everything I can about endurance training and running and et cetera, and we can go down that road. Even if you took the exit for 5th Street, I'm happy to get off the exit and go to Main Street if that's what you want. So what I've seen more so is people get bored with the boring thing that yields the result, or these women decide that, shrinking myself, that's not fair for me to say that. That's loaded. Losing mass is no longer my number one priority. Now that I found I can do this thing, can we change that thing? Because I want to get in a CrossFit. I'm not a CrossFitter, but I want to get in a CrossFit competition. Or I want to do. I had a lady go do arm wrestling. She said, "What do we want to work on? Because my town has an arm wrestling thing, and there's a women's event, and I want to do that. That looks like fun. Okay, let's go in that route." I think as coaches, we can become sometimes too rigid in the expectation for the desired end result because it's our desired end result. But that's what I've seen. I love that question so much, Coach Keyonni, because that's what I've really seen. They defer to strength or something else like adjacent to it, or they realize the boring basics are what does this. I don't know if I want to keep doing this boring stuff, even though it's working. Nah. And that really, it kind of pisses me off, but I mean, it is what it is.
What pisses you off?
What'd you say?
What pisses you off?
When somebody asks me for a specific goal and we do exactly what gets it, and we have, not my opinion, we have empirical data that shows that you are absolutely doing the thing that you specifically asked for me to do. And then they're like, I'm good. Yeah, I'm gonna stop. Yeah. I don't want to do this anymore. It's boring. I'm like, what planet am I on right now? Like, because I know what you paid me, because I know what I asked you to pay me, right? And you're just gonna drop a bag and then do it and then just stop. And that really plays in. We could talk about clients' brains all day here. I'm sure mindset and emotional regulation and all. But that often leads me to say things like, maybe this year your transformation starts with therapy, right? Maybe you do that first. And then you come over to me. I know it's more acceptable to say I hired a coach than it is to say I hired a therapist. But I can't unwork what you got going on in here. Like the stuff that's happening, the things you're deciding on in your brain are due to things that I am not skilled in helping you overcome. And changing your body is not going to change your mind. As a matter of fact, it's making it harder for me to help you shift your physicality in whatever way you want to. And then I get mad about that, man, because we know enough to know that a lot of people don't really understand themselves that well, right? And we're not trained to help them with that necessarily. So you put that work in with them, and then you realize this ain't even the person that I thought I was coaching, right? And because I have a hero complex, see Spider Man, and my mother dying, and my sister dying, and my sister like I will get this is my own therapy that I need. I will get angry if you don't allow me to save you, and I know I understand myself well enough to be able to admit that, right? Um, and again, I'm landing that plane.
Now that you said that, I realize that I have bits of that as well. With how you just frame that, I try to say it as like, I can't want it.
More than
I
you.
can't want the goals that you want more than you want them. But I see how you just, yeah, yeah. I be trying to tell people because once I'm engaged with you, I want everything in my power to see you succeed.
Facts.
I think all good coaches have that like hero complex. I think the
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing for me with like dealing with it is like setting the expectation, like laying it all out on the table. Because for example, say somebody has a goal of say powerlifting, right? They want to learn barbell lifts, become a power lifter, and then they get bored with that type of training. I'm like, all right, we could switch, but if that is genuinely your goal, you doing kettlebell work and these EMOMs and all this other like hit stuff is not moving you closer to that goal. Now it's not wrong if
Right.
we pivot, but you have to be okay with knowing that what we're going to pivot to is not going to help you with the goal that you initially came in with. And if they're fine with that, they're fine with it. So I think just laying it all out on the table and showing people their options and what option is going to get them closer to their goal in the best way, I think it's fine. But it is kind of frustrating because it's like, damn, we were working towards something. But
Right.
just giving
We
people
don't
all
get
of the
that.
knowledge and letting them choose. I think that's
That's
helpful.
100%. And that was so hard for me, Coach Keyonni. Like I really struggled with that my first few years doing this. It was stressful. I started to resent the industry and resent my clientele because I didn't understand that. And I was like, these people crazy. Like, why y'all so crazy though? But you you hit it on the head. Like learning to lay it out up front has been a godsend for me. But I didn't know that at first. Like I didn't,
It's okay. It's something we learn.
facts. We
Something,
need to give ourselves space too.
yep. Dom, you look like you want to say something. You think it, it was
Oh,
like,
it's like this is just like it's like because some of these episodes they go one way and it's like you want to keep them going and it's like but it's like
Just have to bring me back, man. Just bring me
man,
back.
it's just like this is. I really hope people tune into this and see like how empowering it is for people to take back their health, and it's so many people just don't feel comfortable saying, "Hey, I can't do this by myself," and it's like there's people like us out there that just really want to see you succeed. And sometimes, like you said, and for most, it's like not saying that aesthetics is not the end all goal, but it's like let's focus on taking your health back first. Then that aesthetic goal, 9 times out of 10, is going to come with it. So it's just like I'm kind of hoping this episode just kind of chops some people in the throat, and makes them want to do better. That's just that's my nice answer right now. I'm just taking it all in as well.
how do you, Ren? How do you, what's the word to say? What's the way to phrase it? All right. How do you deal with clients who I guess don't want to do something for like the long run? Say they have a goal of losing weight, like losing 30 pounds, and then they get there. Like, do you find that people struggle with continuing? And then if they do, how do you deal with that? How do you frame it for them?
Yeah, I love this question too because I think we can. I believe that we can filter a lot of things out. I'm gonna drop another analogy in 3, 2, 1. The bungee cord, right? When you dive up, I would never do this by the way because I'm scared of heights. This is not from experience of bungee cord jumping. I'm 5'7" tall. I'm a short king because the good Lord knew if I was too tall, I would be scared to stand up. I'm afraid of heights. So, but I know when you jump off the bungee cord platform, right? You get down to the bottom, and what happens? Bounce. But I also noticed that you never bounce back as high as the platform you jumped off of. And you damn sure don't bounce higher than the platform, right? That's how the initial conversations and process of coaching are for me now. If I got a little inkling of something that don't feel like it's in alignment, we ain't even got to jump, homie, right? I'm gonna unbuckle you. I'm gonna go back to the little group tent where the snacks at for the workers, and maybe parachuting is your thing. So I have to have a good process for taking in clients because this is a mistake, and I know I did this, Coach Keyonni. This is a mistake that I made a lot. I would take on clients and it was misaligned,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm ready to do it, and they like, hey, I got a detox drink and some Slim Fast, so let's get this pop 30 days. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Right. So I did a lot of that because number one, when I'm new to coaching, I still got rent to pay, homie. Like I need to sign some people up.
Come
Like, I
on.
can't be all selective, you know what I'm saying? So that's, you seem a little difficult, but if you're willing to pay that WAP, let's go. But I had to step away from that because it made me resent the industry. So now I'll put out a call to action, a message, and I'll ask a few important questions. I ask young trainers, put this in your repertoire. Number one is, hey, what's your goal? What would you love to see happen? What would you want to see happen in next 3 months or 6 months? And make sure they actually have a goal. And from that goal, I usually like to ask, now that goal that you want to hit, is that something that you're just sort of thinking about? It'd be nice, or is that something that's important to you right now? Do you need? And they'll tell me, and I'll say, why now? Why is it important to you now? Because I'm getting rid of the think about it. I'm getting rid of the uncertainty before we ever even have a sales conversation. Why now? Why is it important to you now? And they'll tell me something, and I'll say, so now, if I'm understanding, now is exactly 100% the right time for you to do this. And I'll be that specific because I'm trying to scare them off. And then if they give me that aesthetic goal, which is the source of the question, when people don't want to do the long-term thing, they give me the aesthetic goal. Well, I'll lose 15 pounds. Have you been at that weight before? What size were you at when you were that weight? Okay. So let's say you were a size 6'8", but you were heavier than your goal weight. Would that be okay for you? Or would that feel like a problem for you? Right? Because now I'm trying to see, do we have some sort of neurotic behavior around a specific weight number? Are they neurotic about the numbers? Or are they just trying to get to a result physically? Because I can't work with you if you're calling me every day because you're 113 instead of 112.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't deal with that. And I need to know that up front. So a lot of things filter out in my process. And when I'm in the sales process, if I get to a number, I'll say, so you have the option of doing 3 months or 6 months. 3 months will be this amount, 6 months will be that amount. Which one works best for you? I think maybe the 3 months, that might work for me. I'm listening for change talk, definitive change talk. And I will call it out right there. I'll say, you know, when I work with clients is because they absolutely have something that they must achieve. And that works out great. And then sometimes people are sort of like, it'd be nice if I did this thing. And that's cool too, but those aren't people that I work with. Now, our early conversations led me to believe you're one of those it must happen types of people. But now I'm kind of thinking that you're one of those it'd be nice folks. And I really don't work with people in that mentality. Where do we go from here? right? So this is all before we ever get involved. Like I've learned to do that because I sucked at it so bad at first, Coach Keyonni. Like I was so bad at it at first. I end up with client after client after client that was mismatched. And I was like, I can't do this business. Like I'm just not good at this business. But what I wasn't good at because of that Southern gentleman hospitality, seen and not heard child, that whole thing. Like I wanted to be nice. I'm gonna be nice to y'all. Don't worry. I don't want to ruffle any feathers. I don't want to be too direct. So that whole thing, it was ruining my coaching because coaches know you gotta be black, white, A, B, one, two, point blank, direct with people at every turn, especially before they give you some money. Because they'll get brand new on you after they pay you. Oh, now they in charge. Now they got all kinds of demands that you ain't even heard about. I can only work out on Mondays between 3 and 4. So clear. What? Where is this coming from? Like that payment will empower people. So you got to get everything straight for that money change hands. And that's what I had to learn the hard way, amongst a billion other things I had to learn the hard way in this industry, to make sure that I didn't get those people who only wanted to go like 4 weeks, 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It's May 1st. I got a cruise on May 30th. Can you help me lose 30 pounds? Not without a time machine. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what to tell you. So, coaches out there listening, think about that question that Coach Keyonni just asked and make sure you got an answer for it, because that will make you hate your job. It made me hate my job. Um, Once Glenn landing that plane, that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Okay. And we're gonna close out with one final question based off of legacy and leadership. All right. When women finish working with you, what do you hope is that main thing that they walk away believing about themselves, not just physically, but as leaders and drivers of their own vehicle, of their own health, wellness in their lives?
I hope they walk away, and this is why I initially worked with moms specifically. Now I work with women who don't have children, but I hope they walk away with the confidence that they can properly instruct, redirect, and lead their family to greater health. I'd like for them to feel confident about making a generational impact on the health of their family, because the household goes the way that the woman of the household goes. If the woman of the household is healthy, the household is healthy. No question about it. If the woman of the household is confident, if the woman of the household is honest, direct, capable, competent, the household goes in that direction. So that's what I wish.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for that closing answer. So I'm hoping that everybody really dives into this podcast, takes away some gems, because this was definitely a masterclass to me on self love and development. All right. So, in closing, Ren, for those that want to learn more about you, follow you, where can the people find you?
Oh, you can find me at the first word is fitness. The middle word is Jones, my last name, and the last word is training. Fitness Jones Training. That should do Instagram for sure, um, YouTube. I have a Facebook, or just my first and last name, RenJones. Cross reference that with like fitness or wellness, and I'll come up. Although there is a WWE wrestler named Ren Jones. So if you put Ren Jones in there and this dude's real bulked up, that's not me, because I'm like 5'7", 170. But if he's real bucked up, that's the WWE wrestler. Don't ask him about perimenopause. He might jaw jack you. But there's a little glowworm looking dude. That's me. That's me. If you get like a short Russell Simmons, that's me right there. You got to the right place. Thank you guys for having me, man. Great questions. I love what you guys are doing, man, and the way that you're approaching it. And I loved that you had the foresight to collaborate. To this will be another old reference, Keyonni, but to form Voltron, because there's not enough collaboration in our industry to serve the population that we want to serve. So I love it, man. And again, that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
All right, thank you. Once again, guys, this is the No BS Fitness Prescription Podcast with the unhinged perspective. I am Coach Dom. This is Coach Keyonni and our special guest, Ren Jones. Once again, Happy New Year 2026 is yours for the taking, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah.